Breaking news, the Islanders have officially signed Matthew Schaefer to his entry-level contract, and this changes everything for the team when it comes to the expectations of next season, as now everything is going to be focused on the development of Matthew Schaefer, and I can't wait to see how he looks in training camp now that we know that Matthew Schaefer will be there attempting to make the Islanders. I was really vocal earlier on in the offseason. I thought the best decision for this player was to go to college this season before trying to make the Islanders at the end of the season or at the start of next year, but keep in mind, I am not an Islanders official. I really don't know that much other than the fact I'm really passionate about it when it comes to evaluating prospects. So if the Islanders and Matthew Darsh think that Schaefer really has a shot and deserves a chance to try out for the team this season, then I am 100% on board, and I can't wait to see how he looks at training camp. Really quickly before we get into this contract and what it means for the short-term future of the New York Islanders, our goal is 2,000 subscribers. We have been really growing the channel recently. I appreciate all of the support of all those who have subscribed already. Getting close to 1648, and 48 is going to be the number that Schaefer will be wearing for the Islanders. It is official. Also, I just saw today, I think the Islanders are doing some sort of 48 sale where tickets are going to be $48 for the next 48 hours, so check that out if you're interested. I didn't really fully look at it, but definitely something I'm going to be looking into, because now that Schaefer is going to potentially be on the Islanders, at least for the first few games this season, I definitely want to catch some of those games to really see him playing NHL hockey in person. Now let's talk a little bit about the contract. It's pretty standard when it comes to entry-level players. Matthew Schaefer has a 3-year entry-level contract. The NHL salary is going to be $877.5K. The signing bonus is $97.5. In total, that adds up to a cap hit of just under $1 million at $975. Not bad. NHL, when it comes to these rookies, definitely the rookies have the most rotten of the deals in major professional sports, with NHL teams having a lot of control early on in these contracts. The one thing Schaefer does get here that you don't always see with players is he got A bonuses and B bonuses. And basically these bonuses are the potential based on how he performs with the Islanders to earn more money. And I'm always a proponent, especially when it comes to a player of the caliber of Schaefer, guys picked in the first round, that you give them these bonuses because they only get them if they're able to perform to a certain level. If Schaefer is to get these A bonuses, there are different categories that have to look in particular what he's gotten, but basically there are categories where he would have to either win the Calder or get 50 points or this or that for each different level of the bonus. And look, and if you're going to have a really good early season for the New York Islanders, I am not going to complain. Take the money. I know some teams like the Toronto Maple Leafs tend to be really strict with these bonuses, ends up causing a lot of issues with players like Mitch Marner. Glad Darsh doesn't do any of that, especially for a player like Schaefer. You give them the bonuses and you hope that they earn them, because if Schaefer, 2 years of this contract, is having Norris caliber seasons, yeah, I have no issue giving him $4.475 million. I think the Islanders also gave these grade A bonuses to Maxim Shabanov, so this is not a thing where this is just a Schaefer thing. It seems like Darsh early on is willing to give out these bonuses to players who he thinks deserve them. And for this contract, one thing that we do have to note is this does not necessarily mean that Schaefer is definitely going to be on the Islanders next season. There are a couple different scenarios at play here. One, he can make the Islanders, and then this contract will start ticking. This will begin his official NHL career. But the Islanders also have a window here to play him for under 9 NHL games, and then decide to send him back to Erie, which is something really interesting. And something that's going to be really interesting early on in the season, seeing how Schaefer looks in these 9 games, assuming he makes the team at all. But if he is playing the NHL roster to start the season, if he struggles a bit, then you're likely going to see him get sent down to the OHL. And in that case, this contract does not start that year. It only starts kicking in once he's played that 10th NHL game and he's on the roster. Otherwise, it will roll over to the next season. So there really is no drawback to the Islanders signing this contract. And let's face it, at this point, I am under the belief that Schaefer is likely going to make the team, or at least have a 50-50 shot at making it. Where it does have a consequence is now the college option is no longer available to Schaefer. And as we talked about earlier this offseason on this channel, that was an option that I was really looking at as perhaps one of the best options for Schaefer, but we also talked about it had drawbacks in that the maximum amount of games he could possibly play was 38 or so, and ideally you want him playing as much as possible. He can play a lot more games in the NHL or the OHL, perhaps a combination of both, although I have a feeling that Schaefer really is going to prove himself. The more we talk about this and the more he talks about this, he's showing how determined he is to make the NHL this season. He talked about it earlier, Stefan Rosner with the quote, "Yeah, I feel amazing. There's still a lot of work, but this was my dream, and I want to play in the NHL this season. I want it really badly, and I know there's going to be a lot of hard work that comes with it, but I think I'm ready." And just listening to the way that Schaefer talks and the work he's been putting into this offseason so far, training with Mark Giordano, also on the ice with Adam Pelech, some other NHL players, Schaefer is clearly putting in the work. Also working hard to build his frame out so he is bigger when the season starts. I have beginning to really doubt that Schaefer does not make this team, or at least get that 9-game. I would actually be pretty stunned if the preseason ends and Schaefer is instantly sent down. I think he's going to get a long look in the preseason. The Islanders will likely get him in as many games as possible, and I really think we see those 9 games, and I have a good feeling, depending on how those 9 games goes, Schaefer stays with this team. Talking a little about this defense, it's not a strength with the New York Islanders. And while it's not this huge weakness, it's something where you can really see Schaefer getting his way on this defense and really adding an element. Looking at the left side of the defense, and that is one thing to note when it comes to a player like Isaiah George, I think he's going to be a threat on both sides, left or right. I think just because the type of prospect he is, and also the fact that he's not a first overall pick, I think George will have an easier time breaking the Islanders on the right side, his offside. With Schaefer, you're either going to play him on his strong side or you're not going to play him in the NHL because you don't want him developing a position where he's not going to be in the long term. And looking at the left side of the Islanders defense, they really only have 2 surefire left-handed defensemen, Adam Pelech and Alexander Romanov. Adam Boqvist is notably right-handed. He's currently playing on the left just because you have to put someone there. But Pulock, D'Angelo, Mayfield, while the Islanders don't have the best right side of their defense, most of their defensemen are right-handed, which does give Schaefer a bit of an advantage because he's just this more natural left defender. And obviously, you're not making this decision on Schaefer based on what's going to help the team in the short term. In fact, I will make an argument, and we'll talk about it later as the summer goes on, that Schaefer is not going to be perfect right off the bat, and that is going to be okay. If he makes this Islanders team playing on the left side of his defense, there are going to be growing pains. There are going to be a lot of mistakes. There are going to be nights where the Islanders lose games because Schaefer makes a mistake. And if he makes this team, that is okay, because the number one focus of the season becomes developing Schaefer, because he is the long-term future of this team. Yes, you try to be competitive. You try to win as many games as possible. You try to show him a winning culture. The number one focus will be developing Schaefer, even if that means playing him on a night where you could put a defenseman out there that's going to make less mistakes. And that's something I am very adamant on. I don't think the expectations for this kid should be too high. Again, talking about it a week ago, some people were misinformed thinking that he could not sign his entry-level contract yet because he was too young. This is a 17-year-old. He does not turn 18 till September 5th. I think it's important that we manage expectations. I have very high hopes, but it's important to manage these expectations. And really, what I think this is going to become for the Islanders, and he's not noted on this right now, currently he's technically in the AHL lineup, but I think where this competition really is going to come in is it's going to be Matthew Schaefer versus Isaiah George to see who can crack that last spot on the left side of the defense. And it's going to be really exciting to watch this training camp, see this competition. And this is the first time in a long time where we've had legitimate training camp in to see who can make the Islanders. Yes, we've had talks in the past, guys like Matthew Maggio, and he still has a small chance of making this Islanders team. I don't think it's that high, but he's definitely going to be in the mix as well. But now the process that we're talking about, guys like Callum Ritchie, Isaiah George, Schaefer, it adds another level to this Islanders preseason, and I cannot wait to watch a few games of this preseason and get to see how this battle unfolds, because really, Boqvist and Mayfield, I can see them both losing their jobs to these younger defensemen. I am really high on Isaiah George and Schaefer being the first overall pick, having so much potential. The way I see it is if Schaefer shows that he is NHL ready, then the Islanders should 100% just keep him on the roster, because really, how much more can you learn playing with players that are beneath you. Now, if he falters a bit here and there, if he shows that he can't keep up with the physicality of the NHL, say players are skating through him, getting into the zone, stuff like that, then it makes sense for me, the Islanders, to send him to juniors. And I'd love to know what your thoughts are on these options. What do you think makes the most sense for Schaefer and the Islanders, both this season and in the long-term future? And let me know what you expect from Schaefer if he does play his first full season counts. I'd love to discuss that further in a future video. For now, I'm curious to know your thoughts when it comes to this player. I am so excited and was a little surprised that he signed an entry-level contract, but I have a feeling that this will all work out just fine for the New York Islanders. As always, if you haven't already, be sure to subscribe to the channel. I'm your host, Patrick Nilan. Catch you on the next episode of Islanders Digest. Let's go, Islanders.